10 at 3 time at Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope everything in your life is going well here on this Thursday, Thirsty Thursday, January the 8th, 2026. I don't know if it's officially Thirsty Thursday. Maybe we're going to need a Thirsty Thursday sponsor here on the program. Right now, it's just old Jumbo.
You want to shout out any preferred sponsors? See if we can fish them in.
No, you know why?
Got to pay first.
You got to pay first.
Show us the money.
In here with Lord of the Streams, Tom Barclay, who is actually sitting co-pilot today.
Oh,
And,
he is in the co-pilot seat, but he is still
right.
the pilot.
Sorry if I'm a little distant sounding here. I'm about a few feet away from the mic.
Well, that's all right. I mean, we trust Daniel to sit there and hit all the buttons
He's got
correctly.
this.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm going to make you so nervous right now,
All
Daniel, for your first day here,
Yeah.
sitting in that seat. You want to look at today's rundown notes? You want to
Let's
look
do
at
it.
them? You want to check it out?
Let's do it.
I see nothing.
The name and the date. That's what
Covered.
we got today. And a couple reasons for that. One, usually Thursday's one of those days where, you gotta balance things in your life. You can't just be in working all the time. Thursday's a day that I usually get in a little bit later, which is not normally a problem. I'll do some of the stuff at home. Been dealing with the HVAC stuff, so didn't do that. And then, I'll be honest, I did use part of the pre-show prep time today to make a Chubby Chester video for the socials, and that's what I did for part of this morning. And copyright stuff, can't show it here on the show, all that, but I did have it on the socials. And as I promised, it's Chubby Chester doing the twist through the Morristown Pawn Shop, and so it's a fun time had by all. This story will just absolutely, in my mind, never go away. He is a hero. Not all heroes wear capes. Busting in through the doggy door, going through the pawn shop, causing a ruckus. It's just, life just sometimes gives you gifts when you don't expect them. You think that you got through the holidays and you're like, oh, that was a good holiday season. Got to see the family, got a couple nice gifts, got to see, the kids have a couple smiles on their faces, opening some gifts, saw some family hadn't seen in a hot minute. All these things are going on and they're fun. But, the holidays are over. You think like, okay, and then it sets in, right? The holidays are done, and then you think it's just going to be cold, miserable for a couple months. Sun's going to go down a little bit earlier. It's the seasonal affective disorder starts to potentially creep into the mix. I don't like it when it's cold. I don't like it, getting dark too early in the day. And you just think, I like basketball season. I like covering basketball. I enjoy covering basketball more than football. But the things that get me going are like, I do enjoy usually covering basketball more than football. And the sooner that, it is to baseball season. And that's, what I think is the world's greatest sport. So I get excited with those things. But you kind of steal your mind and think, all right, winter's setting in. You just know when you wake up, it's going to be dark, gray, sometimes a little chilly. Basically, it's going to be like what Ohio and Kentucky are like 10 months a year, but it's going to be for a couple months a year down here. And you think, I have to deal with this. I'm going to set my mind right. I'm not going to I'm not going to expect too much. I'm just going to be chill about things. And then, you know what happens? You get a record high temperature, which again, probably not great for the polar ice caps, but for now, it's less jackets to wear in January, which, okay, fair enough. I don't think that's a great trade, but you can either look at the plus side or minus side of life. And I try to, as the Pogues would say, walk on the sunny side of the street. Rest in peace, Shane McGowan. So I think, it's nice to be a little warmer. And then you see Chubby Chester going wild in the pawn shop, and you're like, that's the final holiday gift. There is nothing in the transfer portal even that compares to that. Some would say, hey, Tennessee's got Sam Levin in town for another day? Huh. That's pretty interesting. Number one overall prospect in the portal. Number one quarterback, obviously, in the portal, because, here's a quick fact for you. if you're the number one overall player in the portal, you're also ipso facto the top position player of your position in the portal. That's how that works. I don't know if y'all know how that works, but if you're number one overall, you pretty much got to be number one at your position, right? Like there's that's how this thing goes. And you're like, that's pretty good. And I would say, yeah, getting somebody like that, whatever you got to pay him, hey, that'd be probably a pretty good bet. Nothing's foolproof in this business, but that would be a pretty solid thing to happen. I would say Chubby Chester is better. That's what I would say personally. And that's why I spent part of today's pre-show prep doing a little bit of making a video that I can't actually put on this show. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Because sometimes you have to sacrifice things for a greater good. What's the pawn sacrifice? It is what it is. It's no problem. We can talk for an hour. We don't need anything. We don't need anything on the docket. Because you know what happens in sports? Here is what is awesome about this. There may be a time occasionally in the summer where it's like, I don't know anything's going to really go on today. There's a bunch of Tennessee players who now play in the, in the majors, and maybe they had a home run or a complete game last night. Maybe they had something. See, there he was. Let's see him. Look at him. Look at him.
Playing the piano like
Gosh, he is just,
keyboard.
just a legend. Look at that. Capuchin, right?
Cinnamon Capuchin.
Cinnamon Capuchin, named Chester. Although, if they, I will allow them to not call him Mozart, even though I think that, or Mozart or Miles originally would have been a better name. But when he is named Chester, one, that's a good name. Two, he breaks into the music section of the pawn shop. Chubby Chester.
Now he has a job doing commercials for him,
Yes,
it looks like.
yes. And he absolutely, I would like, I'm dead serious when I say I would like him to be in the logo of this show. And I've put one up there. I have put out on, I believe, Twitter, X, and on Blue Sky, I have put out my rendition of the new logo of this show. Now, has to go through official channels and all that. And I do have, by the way, version 2.0 that will be coming out soon. And it's got not just Chester. It's got me holding that, in my profile picture there on the socials. It's got me holding the fish, the big mahi there. And, got the, not the mahi, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. And I got Elijah in there and Emily in there. Mm-hmm. And I won't say who it is, but it rhymes with Emily.
Okay. That's a
one of the coworkers whose name rhymes with Emily did not like the interpretation, the image of her on there. And I have a firm policy. I will never post a picture of anyone I work with without their permission. I feel like, hey, that's the polite thing to do. I'm at least going to say, hey, by the way, it's easy to just turn your phone around for a second and be like, hey, how do you feel about this? And I thought, there he is. Look at him. Look at that champion. And if you look at him, he loves the neon light. He can't help himself. He's just like, what's going on over there? He likes bar signs.
Mesmerized.
Just don't break it, dude. Don't break it. You're buying it. And I thought it was a nice picture of Emily. It's a nice picture of Elijah. I thought I picked ones that looked great. Elijah was like, quick thumbs up, like, yeah, I'm handsome and I know it. He knows it. And Emily was like, I got a better one. I was like, okay, fine, but now it's going to take me a lot of time to redo this. But, again, I'm not saying who it was. It just rhymed with Emily. But we have version 2.0 and that I'll not be able to show, and then version 3.0. I'm thinking about adding Gus, my dog, into it. I got a lot of ideas for the logo of this show. But my point at the very beginning of all this was that you never know in sports, most times of the year, things just come up. And right now, you've got Tennessee basketball going to Gainesville for a big game in a couple days. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. We obviously have, things with the portal, left, right, and center. And we'll talk about that. And we've obviously got, here's something new, Tennessee baseball, I believe, ranked number 3 in Perfect Games preseason poll, which, I mean, hey, that tells you right now, welcome to Expectations, Josh Elander, who, thanks again for joining us on the program a couple weeks ago. And he knows it. He knows he stepped into one of the most talented rosters in the country. You know why he knows that? He recruited it. Of course he knows. And I believe only LSU and Georgia Tech, I think, are ranked ahead of Tennessee. And we'll see. Some other guys are going to have preseason polls too, and we'll see what the D1 guys and some of these others do. But, they've already started preseason practice, guys. Like, they come back from Christmas break, and the pitchers get to throwing, get their workouts in. I mean, they start playing in February, which is wild. And that lets you know, like, hey, I wonder why you don't see a lot of, like, Big Ten and Big East schools that are really good in college baseball, and they don't, you don't see a lot of them get to the College World Series. And it's like, have you been to the Midwest and even upper Midwest and the Northeast in February? Not baseball weather. It's not baseball weather here. There's like, 7, 8 states in this country who actually could say, we kind of have baseball weather in February. 7, 8, 9 states maybe, tops. Just kind of go along the southern coast there and over on the west coast maybe. Depends on where you are. Certainly not in the Pacific Northwest. But that's why those teams, like, they spend the first half of the season on the road. Even some of the big programs, they might play like a midweek game kind of at the home park or whatever. But, I mean, they're like in Florida, Texas, California, Arizona, Southern Georgia, Southern Alabama, Louisiana. These are the places they go that time of year, maybe South Carolina at the most. That's where they go. Some of them settle for coming down here where it's really still not baseball weather. But, I mean, there probably isn't, 3-foot snowdrifts plowed on the side of the road. And so, yeah, there's baseball season starts awfully early. Awfully early. And you kind of have to do that because it's a calendar issue. What can you do? You want to play the way they've got this thing worked out, college sports. They've kind of got a year-round thing mapped out. They're pretty good about this. You ever heard of television? We're pretty smart about these things. And the way it ends essentially is the College World Series for the men ends, and about a week later is conference football media days. And then the week after that, it starts, like preseason football camp starts. So at that point, when do you play baseball? Because you also want students on campus for games, do you not? I mean, it's there's always sometimes, like if teams are away, like during spring break, or think of basketball when students are away for Christmas, what's everybody do? Well, they go play in Maui, they go play in Vegas, they go play in, Bahamas. They go to, South Florida. They go to these places and play these neutral site things, or they go to an NBA arena somewhere, or they'll go play in like a big city in their state that's not their normal place because they're not on campus. The students are not there. So your home court advantage, I don't care where you are, without your students there, it's not the same. So what do you do then with college baseball? There's welcome to the problem. It starts in February because, I mean, these guys want to go play Cape Cod League and stuff in the summer, right? That's why those leagues exist. The draft is when it is. And if you draft a non-pitcher, you want to sign him and get him give him a wooden stick and have him go hit the ball as soon as possible after he signs. Pitcher, you might shut him down for a year. And that's fine. Makes sense. Everybody's arms blowing out all the time anyway now. It's like your career doesn't even start till you have your first Tommy John. And so that's why, and I do this every year when you're sitting there at a park and it's February and you're like, I love baseball. It's the greatest game in the world. But why is this happening right now? It hurts to be out here. Why is this happening? Because I don't know when you do it. I mean, do you go start a month later, but you have much fewer off days? Like instead of playing 4 days a week, you're playing 5 or 6? I don't know. That would seem to make academics a little bit harder. Because if you know you're playing a game either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know that, okay, by like Friday noon, you kind of need to be done with classes for the week or whatever, right? And you know that either Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever game you prefer to play on whatever day, usually I'm going to say Tuesday usually, then you know you're not going to have night classes then. You want to be done by a certain time then. But you can manage a schedule then academically. If you're doing 6 days a week, I don't know. I mean, the NIL era is what it is, but you still, and there's more like online classes than ever, and they make it work that way. But like, let's have just a little bit of the mystique left in this. Let's have just a little bit. Let's just have like that tiny little bit of like college in the college sports. It's like, one of those things that like markets itself as a juice, but then the can's like less than 5% juice. Well, at least there's some juice in there. It doesn't say, there are some that are like 0% juice. We don't want 0% juice. We want at least like less than 5%. Okay, not great, but at least something. So again, I don't know how you play these things when you play them. But I think that's interesting because I think about this a lot. And we're going to talk about this again in about a month when college baseball kicks off and you're like, I bet it's not going to be, I'll tell you this much. What is it right now? What is it, about 60, what is it today, 64, 65 degrees? What's going on? We got a camera, quick shot out there, anywhere we can get out there?
Yeah, I think we can get one up for you, and I'll have to pull up the actual weather info. But
there's the valley.
Day.
There's the valley. We're still, we're Los Angeles with that smog. What's going on in Gatlinburg? We out there?
62 outside
62?
right now. Let's look at Gatlinburg.
What's going on there? Yeah, see, always a little clearer out there. But like, I bet you, I'm just going to take a stab at it and say Tennessee baseball's home opening day. I'm going to guess it's not in the 60s. At some point, I do think winter will emerge. And so, at least for a little bit.
Believe it when I see it.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because things come up when you don't necessarily expect them to. And there was one bit of news that was, I guess, you could say tangentially recruited or related to Tennessee football. Not like directly, possibly later on, but there is one thing that I think is pretty interesting that's going on right now in SEC football that pertains specifically to a former Tennessee star, dare I say, Tennessee legend, dare I say, NFL legend, Hall of Famer. We'll discuss that when we come back here in just a couple of minutes right here on 10 at 3.
Secret time.
Secret time.
Secret stream time for the YouTube folks.
We're about to talk about Jason Witten. That's the secret. That's the secret.
There it is, YouTube.
We're going to talk about Jason Witten and what the reports out there anyway. Need to get it confirmed. But honestly, I'll say this again in just a minute, but if it comes from my former coworker Matt Zenitz, you can go to the bank with that. He don't miss. And so that is interesting. He is what's interesting about this, I'm about to say it again, but, Tennessee took an Oklahoma legend and said, he's going to coach for us. And so you know what Oklahoma's done? We're going to take a Tennessee legend, and he's going to coach for us. So how you like them apples? Boomer Sooner, Toby Keith, R.I.P. So, yeah.
1 minute.
And the interesting thing about it, super interesting thing about it, is that old Jason Witten's, one of his kiddos, 5-star linebacker prospect. So that's complicated. Because I think everybody kind of figured where he was going. Now, I don't know. Dad's already there.
30 seconds.
Dad's already there. Mama's there, home cooking, right there. That's where they're going to be now. Just saying. It's interesting. I mean, I think it's interesting anyway. Me thinking something interesting doesn't necessarily mean that it is to anyone else. To me, it is. To me, it is. It's a lot. It's a lot of meat left on the bones today, fellas.
All right, I think
we might be
coming
back.
Yeah.
Lights on the panel went down for a second, but
There
we
we go.
are back on.
Welcome back to 10 at 3 with Wes Rucker here, coming to you on a Thursday, January 8th, 2026, here at WBIR World HQ, just a couple miles away from downtown Knoxville, where Tennessee basketball is practicing today. It's not playing there in a couple days. The Vols will be down in Gainesville to take on the reigning champion Florida Gators. We'll talk about that a little bit later, too. Some more portal stuff that we'll discuss here in just a little bit. But this is interesting. You remember, I'm sure you know by this point, we've written gosh knows how many stories about this over the years. We've spoken for gosh knows how many minutes on air about this. We've discussed this on this very program. But did you know that Tennessee football coach Josh Heupel played football at Oklahoma? Have you heard? Did you know?
Yeah.
They certainly know because he won a national championship for them as their quarterback and almost won the Heisman Trophy.
I remember the time he whooped Mizzou.
Yes.
It was
And then
embarrassing.
coached Mizzou as the offensive coordinator. So that was his mea culpa for the embarrassment of the Tigers. He said, "You know what? I'll come run your offense with Drew Lock and get you about 40, 42 points a game for a couple years there. And then I'm going to go be a head coach, but I'm going to help you out on my way to the top." And this is really interesting because Jason Witten is going to be the tight ends coach at the University of Oklahoma, per a report from my former coworker Matt Zenitz of ZBS Sports. And again, I say this: if Matt reports it, take it to the bank. He is one of the best in the business, and this is interesting for a couple reasons. Because he's not been, not that you have to do this, but he's not been a college coach before. Now, I think anyone who knows the guy knows he knows football. Duh. He could have been an All-American at both tight end and defensive end at Tennessee if he had been able to play both positions. You just can't do that. It's not like wide receiver DB or somewhere you can occasionally get away with it. Like tight end, defensive end, bro, ain't no way that's happening. And he wanted to be a defensive end so much that when Philip Fulmer moved Jason Witten to tight end, he almost quit the team. But Fulmer very famously was like, "Why don't you just give it a little bit of time? I think you'll be pretty good at it." And All-American, early round draft pick, Hall of Famer, Dallas Cowboys legend, all those things. But he has been the head coach at a high school in Texas for about, 4 or 5 years now. And while it's not college football, Texas high school football is about as close as you get to college football in terms of the size of the stadiums, the size of the budgets, the media coverage of it, the pressure walking around town that you feel every day that crushes you. Going to the diner every day, everybody staring at you. Like, we've seen, the movies only slightly exaggerate it. Not tremendously. They slightly exaggerated, but it's so yeah, he knows ball. But what I think is really interesting about this too, and he's won 2 Texas State titles. He's been a good coach there. Of course, I imagine being Jason Witten in Texas at a private high school, you can probably be like, hey, you want to come play for a Cowboys legend? But that's not the hardest sell in the world. Hey, you know my name's up in the star, like in the Ring of Honor, right? Or whatever it is they call it there. You know Jerry loves me, right? And so, yeah, but this is really interesting because his son, Cooper Witten, is a 5-star linebacker prospect for the 2027 class. And while I don't think that would be the reason why you would bring Jason Witten into your program, sure doesn't hurt. It sure doesn't hurt. Because everybody knows, I mean, Witten's going to let his kid go wherever he wants to go. But everybody knows how Jason Witten feels about this place. And that would have been a hard place for him to say no to. Now, again, Arch Manning didn't go to Ole Miss, didn't go to Tennessee. He went his own way. He paved his own path, went to Texas. He didn't go to Ole Miss where everybody in his family except Uncle Peyton went. And he didn't go where Uncle Peyton went either. He went and did his own thing, right? Like, originally, Casey Clausen's younger brother, Rick, went to Notre Dame or whatever, and then, or LSU, and then he's at Tennessee. So he didn't follow his brother at first. So guys will go do their own thing, but now that's interesting because some guys are like, I don't want to coach my kid. And if you're the tight ends coach and he's a linebacker, that simplifies it a little bit. But still, sometimes people would love to play on a staff with their dad. And sometimes dads would love to play, or love to coach a team that had one of their sons on it, right? And you think about it in a way that's like, it's not just like your son's around. Think about it like how many times these guys have to miss their kids' games. And that's where you start, like, so if Jason Witten remained a college coach, now if he's a high school coach, wherever his son plays, he can get on a plane Saturday morning, go see him, be back Saturday night, be good to go to church on Sunday, back wherever you are. Go to practice Monday, you're good, right? People do this, especially with people with Jason Witten's pocketbook can do this. But when you look at, like, college stuff, if you're a college coach, I'll give you an example right now. Ty Simpson. I dropped my pen. Breaking news. Ty Simpson, his dad, Jason Simpson, is the head coach at UT Martin. So only when UT Martin has an off week, like once a year, can he go see his son play. Now maybe there's a situation where if they're somewhat close by, and one game's like at noon and the other's like 8 o'clock at night, maybe he can make it for part of that game if it's close enough. Or, your son gets to the playoffs, then usually the FCS season for the most part's over then. So you can go see him then. But if you're a college coach and your son is a college player and you're not at the same place, you ain't going to see him play. And if he has a senior day, of course, that still exists, even though the best players usually go after their junior seasons in football these days. But still, there's things like that, and you can watch them. You can DVR them at the house. You can watch them on demand later. You could stream them. You can, or your wife can sit there with the cell phone and have some moments of it. But it's your kid, so yeah. And then you balance that with the age-old thing of sometimes kids just want to get away for college. And some kids, my opinion here, not a fact, but pretty close to a fact, need to get away for college. They need to get away from home a little bit and some of the stuff at home and go play somewhere else and kind of, For instance, I've said this before, it would have helped Boo Carter to go as far away from East Tennessee as possible. And now, of course, he's thinking about going to Vanderbilt, and I'm like, man, that's still not far enough away, dude. That's it. You're from Cleveland. It's about the same distance over. It's only a little bit farther away. And if you're technically from Chattanooga, it's still just a little bit farther. Like, you're not go out west. Go far, young man. Who plays the farthest out there west? Go out there. Hawaii. Have you thought about Hawaii? That would help. And there were instances, too, like I think some people benefited greatly from it, like T. Higgins. I think benefited greatly from leaving this area and going not too far away, but going to Clemson, just a few hours away, smaller place. I think that helped him kind of get some things straight and some things that just in his life were helpful. And look where he is now. Mama, he done made it. One of the best receivers in the National Football League. It's good to see him back home a couple days ago for the Tennessee-Texas game. He was there courtside. You ask him right now, do you regret your decision? Nah. It was a good call. So sometimes guys do want to go away anyway. So we'll see. There's a million things that'll happen. Because we're talking about a 2027 prospect, I believe. So, you got to get through this portal cycle first. Then you got to go through the season, signing, and another portal cycle. So, there's a million things that are going to happen between now and then. Do we even know what college football at this point will look like by then? I don't want to be an alarmist because, again, I think I said this yesterday. What we are seeing now seems on the outside like more chaos. And in many ways, it is more chaos because every year you can sign new deals and go wherever. You can transfer as many times as you want. And so, yes, it's causing chaos. In some ways, though, it is a bit more honest. It's a bit more out there because this horse trading has gone on for a long time. And it was just done, to high school players and occasionally to transfers. And it was all done under the table where large backpacks of cash were placed on porches. And I don't know where'd this come from? I don't know. That's weird. All right, well, I'm going to Tech. I'm going to State. Like you don't.
I don't remember ordering this Chipotle.
Yeah, that's wow. Did I get extra guac on this? That's awesome. I didn't even ask for that. I didn't even ask for that extra guac. Look at all these McNuggets I have in this bag. I got sauce. Is that sweet and sour sauce or is that stacks of cash? That's stacks of cash. Wow, what a fortuitous event this was. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But so there are things that need to be put inside guardrails because the NCAA just consistently getting its hat handed to it in court has opened a free-for-all. And hey, you know what? Got to be honest about this. The University of Tennessee Athletic Department played a rather large role in this. You may remember the Free Nico case. You may remember that it was that case and the ruling of that case that sort of changed a lot of this. And so, hey, you do things at the time because you think they are for your benefit. And at the time, they very much were for Tennessee's benefit. And then, maybe you don't look long-term sometimes. We've seen this for a long time, right? You take what's there now You don't think about the big picture. But if you're a coach or an administrator in this era, how big picture can you look? If you don't win, there is no big picture. Not just the big picture, nearly the entire picture is the next game, the next season, the next month. And you have to think about things, of course, long term. You do. Like, you got to build buildings. You got to, what Tennessee's doing with the entertainment district is trying to find new streams of revenue and all these things. And, Danny White's gotten a lot of guff for it lately. And hey, he's been out there defending it and having a bit of fun on the socials at times. And people, I think he's learned a little bit that people, Tennessee fans don't necessarily love that when they're not happy with you. Now, when they're happy with you, I mean, you can go walk out there the middle of the yard, pull your pants down and pee. They don't care. They're going to laugh. They're going to think, ha ha, look at that. Now, when you haven't won as much as they like, you just walk down the street, watch eggs being thrown at you. I mean, that's just how it goes. And I don't know if Director Danny White fully understood that yet. I mean, with his family and everything in their history in the sports world, college sports, you would think he would know that. But regardless, I didn't think it was a big deal. But, he had a couple of smart aleck responses. People didn't love it. But he's not wrong in the sense that they are doing anything they can to bring in revenue. And if they can do any part of it they can do without directly charging fans more for it, kind of sounds win-win to me. Now, where everybody's going to park, you can't park there now. I don't know. You want to go park? I mean, Tennessee's campus, it's like if I didn't have those like media parking passes, and even when I have them, sometimes it's like, well, I hope there's something within like a mile of where I got to be today.
Park at the Ag campus.
Like it's
from South Knox.
It's like they keep building, and they have all these great ideas about things to build, and I'm like, I got an idea. How about more parking garages? Or another idea, better mass transit. One of the two. Let's can we have that conversation? Like, okay, yes, I know that you are physically restrained by the size of your campus, bumped up to a downtown of a moderately large city. So you don't have a lot of room to go there.
True. I do believe we had a discussion a few weeks back about certain campuses that don't put their stadiums near their downtown area, right, or near campus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those stadiums have less issues with their parking at very minimum.
They do, but they also don't have the same atmosphere.
Very true.
I've always wondered, like, we seem to be, in this part of the country, like this region of the country, we're just allergic to the idea of, like, a functional mass transit that everybody could use. It's like, it's not like, guys, there's nothing, like, political about this. It's just practicality. Like, let's be able to get places. Let's be able to go places on time and, not be sitting there honking horns and yelling at each other all the time. Let's have an option anyway. So maybe they could have thought about that, but but regardless, my point is these guys think short term sometimes because they have to, and when they do, that leaves you open to things. But I don't think we need to be criticizing too harshly. My opinion, not a fact. My opinion. I get why they're doing this thing they're doing with the entertainment district. Now, if they can figure out some parking on top of it, and not just that, but campus-wide, that'd be neat. That'd be a neat addition to it. Just saying, have you seen, I'm sure y'all have seen this news, that some people think in the next decade, Knoxville's going to be one of the fastest-growing cities in the country, percentage-wise.
Yeah, another Greenville.
Asheville. So I got an idea.
Maybe we all need to think about parking with all this. We'll be right back, though, because we're going to talk more sports, not just parking right here on 10 at 3.
All right, back on break on 10 Plus, still with YouTube.
You guys, y'all think you want this parking debate? Here's a parking debate.
Oh, gosh.
You didn't come here for this, but you're going to get it.
No,
Everyone loves to talk about downtown parking.
Everyone loves it.
As soon as you opened that conversation, audience couldn't see. Tom pulled the producer mic closer to
He was
the
like,
side of the table.
I have an idea. I have an idea.
Wasn't an idea. It was just an observation coming from someone who, is not went to the school. The school I went to is fairly close to campus, but grew up with a stadium that was very far away from the actual campus.
Yeah, would that be Williams-Brice Stadium?
That would be correct. Yes.
Yeah, because Faro Field's just kind of right there.
Yeah, it's situated right,
just like across the highway,
on Providence Boulevard there, which is basically the main street. I mean, Columbia, Missouri is not exactly known to be a very large city.
No, it's not. But I mean, I think, there wasn't like a ton of parking over there, but the stadium's not huge, so it's like not a huge issue. Although, you want to know a true story about my introduction to Faro Field. This is my introduction. I pulled in. This is the first time Tennessee played at Mizzou, and I got out of the car. It was November. It felt like it was about minus 35 degrees, and a tailgate that was just a few parking spots away from where I was blasting Alanis Morissette at a college football tailgate.
I'm sure they were playing cornhole in the parking lot there near either at the arena or right there at the stadium.
I immediately pulled out my phone. You could probably go back and find this. Immediately pulled out my phone and said, "Kick this school out of the Southeastern Conference."
Yeah, that first couple of years in the SEC, people were a little culture shocked by Mizzou's kind of lackadaisical. And
Alanis Morissette at a tailgate, not a good idea. Listen to what you want to listen to.
And talking about Alanis Morissette as we come back on 10 Plus.
Right back here on 10-3 at Wes Rucker. We're talking Alanis Morissette because I was talking about parking and college football stadiums, and my first interaction with Mizzou's Faro Field was pulling up at a parking lot when it was about 10 degrees, maybe minus 10 degrees outside. Goodness gracious, it was cold. And Alanis Morissette was blaring at a tailgate like a few spots away from our park, like a large tailgate. And you know why it was like, turn it off? They were like, that's an Alanis Morissette kind of vibe. And I was like, listen, I am not, there's a lot of music out there. I'm sonically open-minded, but there's a time and a place for certain things. And a college football tailgate is not time for Alanis Morissette. That's all I'm saying. That's not an ironic observation. That's just an observation. That's what I'm saying. It's not Rain on Your Wedding Day. It's bad music for a tailgate is what it is. And so, yeah, I think I did pull out my phone that day and say, what is this place? What is happening? Have you thought this through, Southeastern Conference? It's grown on me throughout the years. I actually like Columbia, Missouri. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's a great journalism school too, but and they're starting to get a little better with some facilities, which they needed to do. And so, yeah, I mean, it was the for the longest time there, and I think if it's still true, the post-game press conferences there are done basically just like outside. No matter what time of day it is, no matter what time of year it is, no matter what the temperature is. I've been out there when it has seriously been well below freezing, and we're just out there doing a press conference.
I think at the start that was the case. I'm not so sure these days. I feel like they would have held it in the athletic center, the training, because just like all the facilities are
well, I think last time it was at a slightly different place, and what had happened was I went down there, and they were like, hey, you kind of go, remember it's at a new place now. And I was like, yeah, okay. But then I started walking, and I was like, I don't know if anybody gave me directions. So I don't know where this is. So what I did was I just kept walking, and eventually I just walked into like the Mizzou weight room and like meeting rooms.
That's the one.
I was like,
the training center right across the street.
And I was like, oh, hey guys, sorry, just looking for the press conference. They're like, it's that way. I was like, cool. Hey, congrats on the win. I didn't know. So I had to get led into where, like, I was like, and then I was like, I was escorted through like their, like not post game, like media, like the post game, like team locker room, like people hanging out, like, just walking me through. Hey guys, congrats on the win. You guys look good tonight. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like they change things. Once things are done a certain way at a certain stadium, I remember them. When they change, I still do it the way I used to do it 2 or 3 times until I'm like, oh, that's right. Now you go this way. Now you go that. Then I'm good again. But it's weird. Like when you do something one time at one place, You just think, oh, well, they're never going to change this ever. There's no progress ever in civilization. This is exactly what it's going to be every single time. And that, so basically I'm saying is I would be the guys on Hot Tub Time Machine who go to, this awesome like ski resort from the 1980s and just assume that it's still that way. And you pull up and you're like, oh, what happened to this place? Well, nobody goes there anymore. Oh, I went there one time and it was fine. That's what I would do because I'm pretty dumb. But there is a lot going on with the transfer portal right now. The Levitt thing obviously is a pretty big deal. In Tennessee in the past, let's see, we were done about 23 and a half hours ago, 23 hours and 40 minutes, whatever it was ago. And in that time, Tennessee has made an addition, at least one that it needed to make. It got a good one, Kayan Lee, a cornerback from Auburn who has been there for 3 seasons and was one of the top cornerback prospects in the portal. He came down in the end to Tennessee and Ohio State. And this wasn't a deal where this does happen at times where people will say something like, oh, Tennessee and Ohio State were my finalists and I picked Tennessee. And you're like, hey, Tennessee beat Ohio State. And then you're like, I don't know if Ohio State had a firm, committable offer for him. This is not one of those cases. Ohio State wanted him. And Tennessee did too. And so did a lot of people. And Tennessee got him. And that's a big addition for the secondary. Now, he's not like a huge corner just physically. Years ago, and you can still see this, occasionally there will be like 5'10", 5'9" corners. There used to be more of those. Now you're seeing more 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", sometimes 6'2" type corners. He's 5'11", which is not bad, but it's not like, normally you're kind of at least 6 feet tall if you're like a big corner prospect. But he's a guy who can play in the field. He can play in the boundary. If you look at the pictures of him physically, he's pretty well cut up for a guy who's 5'11", 185, whatever he is. He looks a little bigger than that, and he'll hit you. Because of that toughness, he could play on the boundary side. I'm sure he probably could play nickel. I'm not sure if they need him to do that, but that's a nice addition because you add him, and then you put him together with Quay Moss from Kansas State. Now, if you add the safety from Kansas too, okay, you're putting together some pieces there. There's also the corner at Troy that they're looking at, and I don't think he's made a decision. It's hard in real time to follow every single one of these recruitments because they're wild, and I can't sit here and text on my phone during the show. So there's times where I'm like, oh, hey, this just happened. Somebody give me a heads up. And so all this stuff is happening. But, I mean, this thing closes in 8 days, I think. Closes in 8 days. And so it's going to be a sprint. Now, tomorrow, Friday, when we do our not 23-hour farewell, but our 71-hour farewell, we'll come back in Monday with, oh boy, will we have news then. We will have a lot of news then. But right now, there's still a fair amount of it, I would say. Tennessee's also going to host a kicker from Louisville. There's some other guys that have come in and will come in. And we've mentioned this before. What's interesting about this Tennessee portal class is there are priorities. There are priorities there. There are some positions where you just got to get some guys, or at least a dude. Either a couple of guys or one dude. At running back, got to have it. So there's ones where positionally you just look at numbers and you say, I'm not going to call it dire, but you gotta do something here. And then there are situations where, and I would say defensive line is a little bit like that too. Linebacker, one guy. There's a lot of positions where it's like you really kind of need a guy, but it's not like a disaster if you don't. It's not ideal, and to be candid, you're probably not competing for a championship, but you can still be a solid team, maybe compete for a playoff spot, things get right, get a couple breaks here and there. But what's interesting about it is I don't think there is a single position other than punter where they couldn't use a guy. And perhaps that's a little owing to the nature of the number of guys who exited. But I think it's kind of just an interesting combination of volume of guys leaving to the portal, who each of them individually, not a big deal, but you start putting them together and then, okay, you got some issues, right? Not unsolvable, incurable issues, but issues. And then you combine that with guys leaving for the draft too, either as underclassmen or as seniors. And then a couple of guys who were just good, solid college football players who were seniors, and you thank them for their service. They would have helped you. They did help you. They'd have helped next year, but they're done, and now they're going to go pro in something other than sports, right? There's those guys every year. And so you put all that together, and you go, this roster's got, I don't know, because at punter, you've obviously got, your amphibious Australian, as Mike Tyson would call him, your amphibious Australian. And you've got another Australian that you've signed who's coming in, because Australians are, you want to talk about the real issue, it's those Australians taking American jobs at punter. That's where I mean, can American punters get a chance, y'all? Can they get a chance? So you got those guys, and then you've got Josh Turbeville, who also is Tennessee's kickoff specialist, one of the best in the country at that, but he also can kick and can punt. And so at punter, you're okay there. You've got guys, maybe even some who could turn into dudes. When Jackson Ross is on, he is a dude. And so, but everywhere else, every other position. Receiver, yeah, and they've got some guys that are visiting. Tight end, yeah, could use one there. Offensive tackle, yep, you got one, probably need another. Offensive guard, yep. Center, could use one. Don't need it, but could use one. Quarterback, yes, probably need one. Or you're going to go with those two freshmen, which is not the end of the world. Then you go running back, yes, huge need. So that's offense, right? Defense, defensive line or defensive tackle, yes. Leo, yes. Yes, not a lot of experience coming back there, hardly any at all coming back there. Outside linebacker, yep. Inside linebacker, yep. You got one young guy who I think is going to be a dude, but we'll see if he's there already. So, yeah. Safety, Corner, nickel, return specialist, maybe. So what I've just described, ladies and gentlemen, is a football team. You put that together, and what you've got is, it's a football roster. So I don't know any other. I don't know of a more creative way to put that. So again, I'm not saying it's dire, because it's not, because it's this way for just about everybody. So it's urgent. It's pressing. It's, you're not sleeping well right now. You're probably not seeing your kids and your wife much right now. You're probably, for the next 8 days, you are living on the phone. You are living in conversations with these kids. You are filling up jumbo all day long, right? It's like, you'll sleep in 9 days. Get on with it, soldier. Like, you just go. You don't have a choice. And that's what things are right now. But Tennessee's, you look at it and you see that there's 20, I think technically 25, 26 in the portal for Tennessee. That, a little bit of a misnomer, because a bunch of those guys were guys who weren't even really on the team this year. And then 5 of them, I think, were walk-ons. So really what you're talking is like 15, which is 60, which is still a good-sized number. And right now you've got 3 incoming. Now it's going to get larger than that because this is going to have to be in volume size, one of the larger classes Tennessee's had with the portal. But we'll see. I mean, at this point, you would probably say we'll know more in 23 hours because I'd be kind of surprised if we're sitting here tomorrow and there's still just 3 commitments. But it's not the end of the world if that's the case because you still got the whole weekend. You still got 7 days. Like, are some of these bigger names off the board? Yes. But are some big names still on the board? Yes. Are some of them on your campus right now? Yes. Are some of them planning to come to your campus this weekend? Yes. Do you still have money? Yes. But does everybody else still have money? Yes. Texas Tech, by the time we recorded this podcast and ended it, they were vacuuming their couch and found another $3 or $4 billion. And they're fine. They're the $1 bobs of this whole thing. They're the inverse $1 bobs. They're like, what'd you go, 250? 275. They're at a cattle auction where they never lose. That's what's going on. So we'll have more to discuss there. We'll have more basketball to talk about tomorrow, maybe some fresh video of Barnes and a player talking about that Florida game and last season's embarrassment down there at the basketball swamp, the O-Dome down there in Gainesville that smells like chlorine because the pool's in the same place. One of the more interesting idiosyncratic things about the Southeastern Conference. And so we'll have a lot to discuss there. Lady Vols have a big game coming up, too, on Thursday night, a big one this weekend. They'll look to stay spotless, I believe, in SEC play. We'll have all of that and more, and maybe even more Chubby Chester to discuss here in the next 23 hours. So we will see all of y'all in about 23 hours.